What's up, guys? This is Matt with Avoda Talk, or at the real Matt Walton, depending on how you found me. And I am excited about my guest today, which I will introduce here in a minute. But thank you guys for joining us again. I'm excited for today because we're going to be talking specific marketing and branding, and we'll go off on some trails as well on some other topics. But I'm very excited about that. And I just want to encourage everybody that, man, I have been waking up early, eating right, exercising for about 9 months now, and waking up about 4:30, sometimes 4:45 in the morning. Sometimes I get up a little bit earlier. Always run at least 2 miles. I get about 15 miles in a week, and then I eat the animal-based lifestyle, the animal-based diet. So meat, like raw dairy, fruit, all that kind of stuff. And it completely cleared up my brain fog, gave me energy through the roof, and it helped me be more present with my daughter and just helped me operate at like my top level at all times. So that's for somebody out there. I know I always start these with that. And that is to hopefully encourage you, because before that, I couldn't have cared less about my body, couldn't care less about my health. I was 220 pounds. I'm 160 pounds now. I'm working on putting on more weight. I went to an event last Thursday it was a John Maxwell event. And I saw a bunch of people in there I hadn't seen in a year, and not a single one of them recognized me. And so somebody needs to hear that. Go get away, get back into the lab, get back into the mental lab, and become the version of you that you know that you're capable of. And nobody will recognize you in 6 months if you lock in and get after it. So hopefully that encourages you. But let's get into it. This is Luis Barraza.
Barraza, yep.
Say that right? And his business is Galindo. Is it Galindo Media?
Galindo Media.
Okay.
Yep.
Dude, welcome, man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, grateful you're here, man. Me and Luis, we met at it's a founders league. It was a pickleball league, and for business owners, investors, founders. And me and Luis met the very first day. And one of the things that I really, I just thought was awesome was how cool you thought my product was, and like how we use our business,
Yeah.
and the impact and all that kind of stuff. Because a lot of times I can tell people, and just kind of, okay, cool, kind of keep moving. So when you have somebody that aligns on that, because I know you're doing a lot of similar things, and so
100%.
I'm excited to get into some of that today. Luis is a father, a husband. He's an Army vet, a business owner, and an investor, and a pilot. And by the way, he's got 2 kids.
2 kids.
And then you've got 1 on the way.
Due November 23rd.
Okay, that's awesome. Little girl.
Yeah, little girl, first little girl.
Okay, man, congratulations. So let's jump right into it.
Cool.
I want to talk about what you're doing. We'll get into like strategy and all that stuff here in a minute. I don't want to necessarily talk too much about like, here's how I grew up.
Yeah.
But like, where are you at now? What are you working on? How did you come about with Galindo Media? Start that. Just bring me up to date for the last few years.
Okay. I guess we'll start where I've only been in Vegas 3.5 years, 4, I guess coming up on 4 years. But I moved to Vegas as I was getting out of the Army. So didn't want to go back to California for obvious reasons. And then Vegas seemed like a good fit. I lived here as a kid for like a year, literally just like kindergarten to like first grade. And then my wife had lived here as a kid. So we're like, okay, like let's move back to Vegas. It's an hour flight from anywhere we need to get to in California, because I have family in LA. She has family in Sacramento. So we landed in Vegas. And then I had been doing the e-commerce thing while I was in the military. So then I was like, okay, let me just go all in on that. My wife's obviously in the real estate space. The whole Josh thing kind of happened too. So I'll get into that. But started operating that business in the first 2 years. First year was great because last 3 years was still in the Army, and that's why I got out of the Army. I was having a lot of success online. So then I was like, okay, let me get out of the Army and continue this thing in Vegas. Obviously, I again, that business failed, so I didn't know what was next. But I knew that I wanted to get, I knew that nobody knew me in Vegas. I got here with not knowing a soul. So I was like, okay, let me just get into these networks. So I paid to join some masterminds and whatnot. And then I met this guy named Sean Bob. Sean Bob invited me to his Christmas party. I met Josh Galindo. Josh Galindo and me kind of hit it off there. We started playing pickleball together at Lifetime. We figured out we worked well together. And I was like, okay, this guy seems to, and I was being selfish, but not in a bad way. I was like, let me use this guy, but I want him to benefit as well. So I was like, I essentially put together a whole pitch deck on what I wanted to do. And I was like, hey bro, we don't know each other that well, but you seem like you got to figure it out in Vegas. I'm a young kid. I was 28 at the time. And I was like, let me do this with your name, with your permission. Let me leverage your brand that you've spent a decade, 2 decades on here in Vegas. And then I'll build a business, operate it. You just let me borrow your name. He gives me a yes, which I was not prepared for. I was just like, we'll see. I'll shoot my shot. He said, let's do it. And I was like, whoa. So next thing you know, I'm like, all right. So I start actually doing the work. I shut down that business like I told you. And I'm giving you like the 30,000 foot view. There's a
Yeah.
lot of more intricacies, but within 2 months, I'm now at his office full time. He's like, I didn't think you were gonna be here full time. I was like, yeah, like I'm all in. Like we're doing this. And then long story short, we started out of a closet. Like literally, it was the electrical closet. It had all the wires and stuff in there. Uh, because everybody has Wi-Fi now, so we ripped all that out and we turned a closet into my first office at that building. And it was kind of an ego hit, right? I went from having roughly 15,000 square feet and feeling like the fucking big guy when I walk into my space, like all these, I had 8 guys working for me. I go from all that to working out of an office, like a closet. So my ego took a big hit, especially because everybody, which I still am having an issue with now, everybody just treated me like almost like a high level employee for Josh. And I was like, no, motherfuckers, get this right. We're partners, So now people are starting to understand, but you have to look at it from an outside perspective. Is I was this big shot that is working out of a closet. Like it didn't go in alignment. But again, long story short, from that little closet, we ended up in 3 offices, and now we're finally moving in next month into our own space. And I really feel like without Josh's brand, we wouldn't have been able to bootstrap this business, because that's the cool part. We have no debt. We're probably doing six figures to 150 a month in revenue. And it's just cool to see it all come to fruition off of just an idea and literally me putting together a presentation on Canva.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Got to give credit to Josh. He's introduced me to a lot of his network, and it's been cool. It's just been like seeing that somebody can see the like hunger and grit in a young kid has been cool.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the 30,000 foot view. There's a lot I can get into, but that's kind of like the super zoomed out version.
So
Yeah.
what did you have to do to get to where you're at now? I know there has to be some personal things that you're working on
Mm-hmm.
to get to where you're at right
Yeah.
now. So, because I don't see you're not a slob.
Yep.
Not to say you weren't one.
Yeah.
I know I was one before.
Yeah.
But what are those things that you're doing?
So I can touch into a couple things. I actually liked how you started this, saying, you lost a bunch of weight, animal based, because funny enough, right before Founders League, the first day of Founders League was the day I came off of my 30-day water fast. So I was pushing 240 pounds. I'm sitting right around 200 now, but it was the first week of Founders League that I broke the fast. And I was like, so I had just finished a 30-day fast because I was kind of becoming a slob. I was, the excuse of like, I was focused on the business. I wasn't focused on myself and blah, blah, blah. But I lost 40 pounds during that 30-day water fast. I didn't eat for 30 days. And, it was kind of like a spiritual thing for me. Like I wanted to just prove, I'm going to backtrack a little bit more. The reason I did the fast was that was the day before I started that 30-day water fast was the day I found out I was having a little girl, or a new baby. I didn't know it was a girl yet.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me prove that I can still do things that I don't want to do that are hard. Because I was like, I was becoming a slob. I was like walking around overweight, and I'm supposed to be in alignment with Josh and his people, and like it wasn't an alignment. Like I was like this slob. So I did that 30-day water fast, and then I really feel like the beginning of that Founders League, I was like, all right, I'm gonna be more active. That's why I signed up for the league again. Gonna be more active, gonna start working out. And really since the beginning of that league, I've maintained the weight. I'm building more muscle now, and so my weight's kind of staying the same, but that was like the beginning really. So like that, take care of yourself, take care of your body, and everything has been in alignment since then. The moment that I started taking care of myself, all the puzzle pieces started almost like connecting. The space is opening up. Like the universe is like telling me, all right, you needed to do that first before your next step is ready. But I think even then it starts way back in like 2015. I was a bartender in Sacramento, and I was like, kind of going through the motions, just waking up, taking a couple shots, going to work, and you know, being buzzed all day because that was the life. I was crushing it. I was making like great money at the time, but it was all going back to the bars. And I remember it was like kind of like I make if we get to know me, I make a lot of sometimes good, sometimes bad, split second decisions. I was like, I need to get out of this environment. So I was like, I can't stay here. Like all of my friends at the time are doing the same shit I'm doing. So I was like, what do I do? And at the time I was dating my wife, and we had only been dating for like 8 months. And I'm like, I think I need to join the military. So I literally that day go to the recruiter's office, and I was always been a smart kid. I was like, hey, I want to sign up, but I need to do it like now. Like I don't want to be able to change my mind. So I signed up for the military. 2 months later, I ship out. and my whole life's different. But the cool part, and this is where my wife and me laugh to this day, is like we had been dating for 8 months. So I'm like, I kind of hit her with like, hey, I got to do this. I don't expect you to follow me. You're free to do what you want. If you do want to come, we have to get married. And I was like, that's it. Cause the military that's why there's a lot of military marriages. And I was 100% super like at that point, I was ready for her to like leave me and just, I have to go build myself and start over essentially. She's like, okay, let's do it. And I'm like, whoa. So fly to Vegas before we lived here, Labor Day weekend. So we're about to hit our 7 or 8 year anniversary this September 1st. Yeah. And she's like, and we get married, or her parents are pissed. My parents are pissed. But we do it. We get married, and then 6 months after that, we're living in Georgia. Completely different life. Like we're like in Georgia.
How old are you at this point?
24.
Okay.
24.
You're in the military. You already in the military?
Already in the military.
Okay. So, based out of Georgia?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Augusta, Georgia.
Okay.
Terrible at telling stories. So correct. If you fall off, please stop me. So we're in Georgia, and it's just a completely different life. Like I was used to waking up, taking shots, going to the bar. Lexi, my wife, shows up to the bar while I'm bartending. I make her some drinks, whatever. From that to like essentially a 9 to 5 in the military, and then cooking dinner and slow days, going to bed at like 8 p.m. Like I was like, this is a big shift. It was a very different. But at that point, we kind of, truthfully, that's when we got to learn what to do, how to act, like not being the guy in charge. Like I hated all of it. So essentially I started Googling, how do I make money online? And that's what led me to e-commerce and that whole brand and the whole e-commerce business and all that. So while I was in the military, I started making all this online money. And you got to keep in mind, the military, as a new guy, you're not making any money. I'm making like $2,500 a month, $3,000 a month. Like it's like nothing. And like the e-commerce business skyrockets, takes off. I'm making, at the time, 10 to 20K a month in profit. And I'm like, whoa, what I'm doing online is paying me like 3 or 4 times what the military is paying me, So at that point, I'm like, okay, how do I get out? So I only ended up doing a 3-year contract, but I get out of the Army, and then that's when the Vegas thing starts. But I think it all started with having a split-second decision saying, I need to get out of this environment and I need to go. Yeah. And then everything led to where I'm at. But it was a decision I made in like literally probably 2 minutes. And I think a lot of my life has been those decisions, because a lot of people say you should really think about what you're doing. And like, I just feel like when I know, and sometimes you go in the wrong direction, and I've made wrong decisions, but I don't know if it's serving me or if it's not serving me. But I know that if I don't make quick decisions, sometimes it ends up biting me in the butt. But quick decisions and taking action have led me to everything that I'm doing.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah. That's what I hear is, you were called and you had something in you that was like, dude, you're capable of so much more, than being at the bar, than working at the bar, than starting and drinking early. Cause I felt the same exact thing when I was running around doing all the things that I was doing. It's like, I knew that God had called me to something far greater than what I was currently doing. Yeah. And it just took making a decision and then starting to change everything. It's like, there's a guy that's like, if you're going this way and you want to go this way, all you have to do is turn. Yeah. Like it's so simple. We make it so complicated, but that's literally all you have to do, and just start doing the things. You mentioned one thing about doing some hard things, and that's one of the things that I talk to all my guys about is especially in the morning time, waking up and doing hard things, because that does something to our mentality. Yep. When we wake up, we don't want to wake up. We immediately have to like start battling that in our minds. If you're like me, and I'm immediately battling it in my mind, but then you jump up, you do what you know you need to do, and then you're, next thing you know, you're running it around the neighborhood. Nobody else is up with you, but you're doing that with your daughter in mind, with your kids in mind, with your future in mind, with all your people in mind, knowing that like, if I don't do that, then I am the ceiling to my business, and it just creates this ceiling that nobody can grow past. But if I'm constantly growing, it gets into this law of the lid that John Maxwell talks about, where just imagine a jar that has a lid that just opens up. And when you're constantly growing, it's that lid that doesn't contain the items that are within it. And so that's what we do as leaders, focus on our growth, because that takes the lid off of all of our people and allows for them to grow and grow into their full potential. Have you ever heard I don't know, I can't quote it exactly, but it's like, you as a leader, your dreams have to be big enough to fit your team's dreams in. Dude, I talked, dude, my wife repeated that the other day, because I was, that's what I always tell people is dream big enough that your dreams, that everybody else's dreams fit inside. 100%. Yeah. Dude, so that like ecosystem about, dude, that's that right there. Like literally everybody's dreams and visions can fit inside of that. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm all about that, man. All right. So I want to get into just some Like, I want to talk about your business model. I know, so you do media, events, branding. Let's start from a high level, then I want to get pretty close, but I want to talk about what does that business model look like? How do you get clients? And then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So I guess where do I start? Our business model, I would say 80% of it is on a retainer model.
Okay.
So small and starting to go towards bigger business. A lot of smaller businesses where we started, our retainers are anywhere from 3 to 10K a month, depending, what you need. And we're probably sitting around 30. Honestly, it fluctuates so much. Let's just say 20 to 40 clients a month. So again, and then we do a lot of a la carte stuff, which is event coverage and just media production, corporate interviews, all that jazz. Yeah, I mean, it's based on retainer model, and then it's all based. It's primarily social media right now. We're starting to like get into the ad space and the website space. So we have an in-house developer, all that good stuff. But it started with, because I'm not the smartest guy. The funniest part is I started a company where I'm not a product expert.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I did that for a reason. I was like, let me prove hard things. Let me prove that I can do this, because the last business I was, when things got dirty, I can roll up my sleeves and go do the dirty work. The good and bad part now is when things break, I can't do that now in this business because I barely know how to turn on the camera. So I have to be able to build a good team. Like, I have to find the right people. I have to go and build correctly, and I have to work on the business versus in the business. And now I'm not even able to work in the business, which is, it's a blessing and a curse, because when things break, I can't go in and fix things. I have to find the right people. I have to build correctly. And but yeah, that's kind of the business model. Is like, I decided to build a business where I'm not the product expert, but I have the right people in place, and it's based off a retainer model. And then the way we're acquiring clients is through organic. Really, I would say 50% of our clients are referral based. So our clients love the service and they'll bring us, their clients. And then just straight up ads and cold outbound reaching. It's just old school stuff. It's
You
nothing.
do like networking, all that kind of stuff.
Obviously networking.
I saw one of your ads the other day. I think I saw it yesterday. Is that new?
I think there's a few new ads we're running right now. We're trying to.
Okay.
We truthfully, we paused taking new clients the last 2 months just because of the new space. There's a lot of, so maybe you're seeing one of the new ad campaigns going out.
Yeah, I think
but
so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Are you pursuing certain revenue? Like, hey, if y'all 3 million and below, that's who we're pursuing, or have you?
We more have like a minimum, like, just because truthfully, again, with working with Josh, my initial goal for the company was to target a lot of realtors. And we realized a lot of realtors, 90% of realtors don't actually do any business. It's like the top 10% of realtors do all the business. So we're like, okay, this is a small market. Even though there's, thousands of agents, most of them can't even afford our service. So we had to pivot. And obviously with the Galindo name, I thought that was going to be our clientele, was realtors in the real estate space, but that didn't happen. So we had to, pivot and target businesses that we normally, they disqualify themselves if they're not doing at least $500,000 a year in revenue. But we do have like a sub offer where we're like, look, you can't afford a service, but we're going to offer you into our community where we're going to have weekly calls and help you get to the point where you can't afford us. And that's all being rolled out. And it's essentially Josh led and me led, where Josh is essentially giving free business advice. So we're kind of creating a platform for Josh to be like a business coach. And then the goal is develop these businesses to where they can come and afford our offer.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So what is your framework whenever you get a client, or we'll just say it's a lead?
Yeah.
When you start talking to them, how do you go through the process before they actually sign up with you and use your services? Like, what is that?
Yeah. So
process?
with the ad, if you saw it, there's normally like a intake form, and we have a few different ad campaigns. One's like, let's just generate leads, like volume wise. And then the one's like very qualified leads, because we're still testing that. Like, obviously your cost per lead on like the more qualified campaign, where it's like 20 questions. Like, if somebody's going to go through that, they're probably more qualified than the guy that's just going to submit phone and email. So the questions there, I mean, they're pretty generic questions, but it's just more about qualifying them, which is, again, revenue. How many employees do you have? Like, where are you based out of? Is it a retail location? Is it an online business? All that stuff. But then once they're qualified and they decide, they hop on a call with Mladen. Did you meet Mladen? He came one founder.
No, I didn't meet him.
Okay, one founder's but they'll hop on a call with Mladen. He's like our COO and our sales guy, really. And then he'll just kind of go through them and see what their goals are and whatnot. And this is where we've had to, if we're not in alignment with the brand, then a lot of times we're in a position now where we choose to not work with everybody.
Yeah.
Just cause, again, with our space, there's a lot of guys that want to come in and shoot a course and start selling something that's not legitimate, whatever. But yeah, so I mean, I would say that that's how we qualify them, and then we do a whole onboarding process where we figure out again their goal, their brand, everything, and see if it's in alignment. I don't know if
Okay.
that's answering your question.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
doubt. Man, have you ever heard of Roy Williams? Do you know who Roy Williams is?
Sounds familiar.
Wizard of Ads.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Dude,
Yeah.
he's like him and Dan Kennedy are probably two of the biggest in my world, biggest legends when it comes to
Yeah.
marketing and media. When you go through, it's interesting to hear different approaches, you know,
Yeah.
because like different things work for different people. But his approach is you can go in and pay him 10 grand to go sit at the table across from him and learn everything from him.
Mm.
You can go and pay them. There's other packages that they have where they do these, what they call big idea days.
Mhm.
So let's just say you're not in the space that you're in and you're looking to do that. What they'll do is looking to bring on somebody to your team that would do your marketing, branding, whatever it is that y'all agree to. What they're going to do is they're going to have you fly out to them. They do what they call a big idea day, where you literally spend 12, 14 hours with them whiteboarding,
Yep.
going through everything. They ask questions, make sure expectations are aligned, all of that. Then from there, you come back, and if you choose, they give you their pitch and everything on what their costs are and everything. Then if you choose to work with them and bring them on board, then they'll come and they'll do an uncovery day where they come and they uncover everything about your business and learn
Got it.
that they need to learn. And they're going through their whole slew of everything, working towards whatever services that you're utilizing them for.
So it's more of like a business consulting firm than a marketing agency.
But
Yeah.
they have partners. So they have
Yeah.
I think it's over 100 partners across the
Okay.
country. So they go in and they would say, okay, well, you need, you know, whatever it is. So they hear your vision, hear what it is that you need, and then you're like, well, I need a branding guy, I need a marketing guy, I need an ad guy, and then you go and they form a team of those specific experts, or I need an ad copy guy, or whoever it is, and then that's your team. So you have a guy, an expert for each one of those areas right there, and they're like, I'm talking extremely qualified guys that have done hundreds of millions or representing billions of dollars worth of revenue, companies that are doing that much in revenue every single month. So it's just different. It's like when I was going through the process of different marketing companies, the majority of marketing companies all do it the same. And they're going to figure out from you, tell you what they offer, and then you want to use us or not. And so the thing that I really was impressed with them was they just took that to another level.
Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, okay, we can do this. Let's uncover more about you. Let's do a big idea day. Oh, and by the way, everything that you need, I've got people for that, and we can form a team for that. So, and then there's different price models too, you know, because you can go in and pay minimal, you know, and pay something very, very minimal up front. Depends on your revenue. But like they do where you, up until, so that I don't care if you're doing $2.5 million today, they start at zero. And when you get up to $1 million in revenue is when they get paid more.
So
Let's just say, if you don't grow, they don't grow, which, dude, I love that.
Yeah.
So many media companies are like, do you pay me $5 grand, $7 grand, whatever it is for their services, which do your thing, right? I'm not talking bad, do whatever it is that you do. But they grow with you. And so you pay a minimum upfront cost, and then you just pay that monthly cost right there. But what they do is then they'll go back, they'll take my strategy, vision, everything, and then they'll go in and they'll just apply that to, you know, their full strategy that then they come back and pitch. And then they've negotiated billions of dollars worth of like TV ad, whatever it is, you know, and so then they don't take a cut on those ads, which is another thing, you know, because
so
most people are going to take cuts on most companies cuts whenever you go to radio or TV. And so they don't do any of that. In fact, it will go directly through the company. They'll negotiate it, but then you pay the media company directly. You don't pay them. So, but then like if you start out and you're above 3 million in revenue, then they'll work to get you. Oh, so they'll start at zero, and then they'll go, your fee will be a little bit more monthly, a little bit more upfront, all that kind of stuff. But then their fee will increase at the 3 million revenue mark. And it, like, if you grow 100%, they get paid 100% more. You know, if you grow 12%, they get paid. If you get a decrease, they get a decrease. You know what I mean? So it's like, cool. So there's more to it, a little bit more to it, but I really respect that kind of approach. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts on that?
The funny part is like we have I feel as if I have a pretty big vision for the company, because my goal is to get to the point where we're more taking equity positions in the company. We're kind of become an acquisitions company. I don't know how far away that is, because I'd like to at some point offer that. It's just hard to do that right now at such a small scale, especially because we bootstrapped this thing. We started this thing with literally like 3 grand.
But what do you mean by so equity? So like,
Yeah, so essentially, like, if I see a business that I really believe in, like, hey, we're gonna do everything for free essentially for X percentage of the business. Does that sound, and if we don't grow, we can have like some sort of clause. We've talked about it already, where it's like, look, if in 6 months to a year or 2 years, whatever that framework looks like, then we'll just walk away. But obviously at that point we can be more picky, and I have
yeah,
no revenue and like a infrastructure that can support my team without making any revenue. So it's like I feel like to get to that point, we have a little bit more room to grow. We're just starting off. I told you, I think while we were walking up here, I feel like my true beginning of this business is literally next month. Like it's been a loading screen up until now. Like
oh, I get
yeah,
that.
it's been a loading screen. Like it's been like reinvesting all of the money back into the business to get to this point. But now I feel like in the next year, like a lot's going to change, and like a lot of pivoting is going to change. Where I don't think we're going to get to like a point where I can do things without charging. But my goal is to become an acquisitions company where we can go in and be your fractional CMO. And if you don't grow, we don't grow. And that's
I
the
love
goal.
that,
Because
dude.
that's the only client we do that for, which is funny, is Josh, right? Because Josh is our partner in the company. So he doesn't pay us for media services. We get a percentage of growth within Galindo Group, and then Galindo, his brand, personal branding for coaching and whatnot. So that's the only company we can technically do that with.
Dude, I
But
love
yeah.
that, man. Yeah, that like another thing is obviously paid more
Mhm.
if the company performs more.
Yep.
And another idea is a percent on the sell of the business.
Hmm.
So it's like, if they choose to sell the business, then you get a 1%, 2%, 3%,
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
that is. And so you're not actually getting equity, but you're getting a percent on that sale,
Hmm.
and then you can negotiate clauses in there. If it doesn't sell at this time,
Yeah.
we get, X amount of dollars or whatever.
Yeah.
Because my thing is, as a company that will as marketing services,
Hmm.
is I love that idea, because one of these days I'll buy you out. I'll go
Hmm.
in and buy you out. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? If we come to that agreement, and it's a 1% agreement, and you're being paid, $1,500 a month or $3,000 a month or whatever it is, but we're increasing by thousands of percent, you're going to eventually get checks for 30, 40, $50,000 a month from.
Yeah.
Then, whenever I sell the business, let's just say I sell for that $100 million mark that I am pursuing right now, that's a big $1 million check right there.
Yeah.
Or I can go in there and just pay that off on
Yeah.
day one. So my thing from my side of things, I'll either buy you out or buy into every company
Mm.
that believed in me and my company. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah. That
So
makes
buy
perfect
out or
sense.
buy into.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
yeah, I love that. I
Yeah.
love, because there's so much to do there. Like there's so
Yeah.
many plays there for your scale and like
Hmm.
just your growth. What is you I'm going off with a ad I saw yesterday from you,
Okay.
because one of the things, I loved it, by the way,
Okay.
because you're like, your content sucks. And I'm like, yeah, no, I love that.
Yeah.
Then why? Or let me ask a
Yeah.
different way. What makes good content?
Well, it's a loaded question because
Yeah.
it changes every week, every month, every day, and you don't want to say the simple answer of like, oh, you just got to follow trends, because that's what every marketing agency is gonna say. It's like, oh, you just got to get views, you got to go viral. That's what they all say, and it's like, I think it depends on the business, and that's where we have to like figure out like what is your goal as a business, and your content can suck for you, but not suck for another business.
Yeah.
So, for example, we have like a big dental company that's our client. And at the beginning, they were like, "Hey, like we're not getting any views. We're not getting like you know, any sort of like return." And then all of a sudden, 2 or 3 months in, with the same amount of views, nothing's changed. Like their sales have like doubled.
Hmm.
And then they're like, it's brand recognition. It's just trust. The same. It's not about the views. It's people that are already finding you through other mediums, because it's about brand loyalty. I guess the way to say it is like, it's just becoming the expert in your space, because now the people, even though you're only getting 1,000 views a video, whatever it is, hypothetically, those are way more qualified leads,
Yes.
because it's such a niche down, you're talking to your audience. So they're what this client sells is mouth replacement. So like they'll do arches, if you're essentially like very high level dentures. They're not normal dentures. They do very, like, their cheapest products 60 to 80K
Oh, wow.
for full mouth restoration.
Yeah.
So their clientele,
Hmm.
think about it, is all in their 50s to 80s. They're all older people. So they, at the beginning, their content sucked because they're doing all the trends. They're doing like, oh, we're doing these funny trends. I'm like, yeah, and that's going to go to like people in their 20s and 30s.
Hmm.
Like, you have to understand what your content's goal is. So with their content, it started getting more boring talking head stuff like, hey, this is why you should pick this versus this. And it's very boring, and their views plummeted, but their sales grew. So it's like, and then with other
Is that
clients,
just because of quality, you think? Because the
I
quality of
wouldn't
leads?
call it quality. I think it's the messaging.
Okay.
Like, and that's another thing. It's like a lot of times these agencies are like, we're gonna edit your videos and they're gonna be so fancy and we're gonna do all these designs and graphics. It's all about messaging. Like, because their messaging just it got fixed essentially. They were messaging the wrong people, which you still gotta have a little bit of that virality. So you do the trends, but you make sure that a lot of your content is just educational if that's the goal, to educate the consumer. And think about it. There's no 50 to 80-year-old scrolling on TikTok and, and Instagram. So why are you making these trendy videos just to get more followers on your freaking Instagram? You don't care about followers. You want money. You want leads. So I think people's content sucks because they're creating the content with no purpose. They're creating the content in search of views, virality, and shares and more followers, which is the wrong goal. So people's content sucks because they don't know why they're making the content.
Yeah. No, I love it. What do
Yeah.
you think about each platform, different approach on each platform? So when I look at like Instagram as an example, it's a commercial
Mm-hmm.
basically, so it should be a commercial. Now you're going to see a complete revamp in every single social platform that I have in the
Mm-hmm.
next couple of months, and including radio, website, all
Mm-hmm.
of that, kind of going to the next level. You get to a point where you're doing a strategy and you're like, okay, the
Yeah.
strategy is way outdated. Now it's time to go to the next level on the strategy. So one of those things is right now we're on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and it's saying, okay, I don't need to be on all of those. I
Mm-hmm.
only need to be on one, maybe two of those.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm actually going to change where YouTube is geared towards gaining trust and a lot more long form content, and then post maybe twice a month, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can always do shorts and all that. Do you agree? It's kind of
Yeah.
where I'm going. And then Instagram commercial, kind of develop that trust, continue to develop that
Mm-hmm.
trust, maybe throw out some educational, but really, really high quality looking.
Yeah.
Not so much with the graphics. We've done graphics before and we actually got more views. Is this accurate? Got more views on no graphics
Yep.
and all of that than having all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you agree with that? Is there a different approach for each platform? When I look at the very beginning of my time with marketing and after I bought this business, it was, yeah, let's tell the story about the product and how the business is used, and let's just share that across social media. Now it's like YouTube has a strategy, Instagram has a strategy. So if I decide to go shoot a video on how big my pools are to show how many people are in there, and I bring in an editor or videographer to record that, I have all of my guys jumping in,
Yeah.
I'm going to get 15 other pieces of content
100%.
for that.
Yeah.
So what do you hear in that?
So one of the things we tell a lot of our clients is like, and we're actually pivoting because I think this was more accurate a year ago, 2 years ago, is we like to do like the shotgun approach, which is like, hey, look, at the beginning, we're going to try a few
Yeah.
different pillars. And then we're going to kind of see what grabs, what platforms like your story, what platforms don't. And then we'll pivot from there. But as far as like the long form to short form, 100%, obviously. But here's the thing, YouTube is prioritizing right now a lot of short form. So like YouTube Shorts rolled out, and I don't like it because I feel like it's what's the word, clouding the platform a little bit. Because now you see these big channels with so many subscribers on YouTube, but I'm like, are they here for the long form or the short form?
Hmm.
Like, it's so confusing. But so we're kind of trying to stay away from YouTube Shorts a little bit, even though we know there's an opportunity there if you do it correctly. But 100%, every platform should be treated differently. But I would say at the beginning, because a lot of people get overwhelmed with that, it's like just I always say pick one to start, and then just use that content for the other platforms. It's probably not going to be catered to that platform, but it's a start. And then as you grow, you can start catering to that platform. The worst thing is just to be completely irrelevant on one platform. Because even if you have one good video on a specific platform, you can drive it to the right platform. You can just, they all cross collaborate now. On YouTube, you can have links to your Instagram, your TikTok, and vice versa. But we 100% agree that every platform should be catered differently, but don't let that stop you from just getting into them. Like I always say, just focus on one until you've mastered one, and then you can grow.
And then even you're focusing on one, but you're still doing that shotgun method where you're still, posting on a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like what we're doing. But again, it's outdated. We're about to change that whole strategy and
Yeah.
focus on go from 4 platforms down to 2 to 3
Mm-hmm.
platforms, and then really hyper focus. So whenever I'm strategizing over, let's shoot this style of video, we're going to do this length
Yeah.
and this style and this script for YouTube. And then we're going to pull this short from it, and
Yep.
we can post that on Instagram because it aligns with the vision from Instagram.
Yep.
Is that kind of similar?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I would say with YouTube, obviously, it's one thing that, and this is our theory. We may be wrong. We're like Instagram's a lot more like right now. What we're seeing is like a lot less edited. The raw stuff's doing really well if you're entertaining, but it's a lot more reality TV show clips. Like, like day in the life stuff, POV, whatever, all that stuff's doing well where you're talking about your business. With YouTube, with the long form, people just want to be educated. Nobody's going to watch, there is some creators that have big platforms, but like nobody's going to watch long YouTube videos, at least the ones that create real leads and value, to just be entertained. They want to be educated in some way or another.
Yeah.
Versus like Instagram, it's just entertainment. So it's like there's different goals within platforms, we think.
What are you
Yeah.
looking at? Like, what is your biggest metrics that you're looking at on social media? Like, are
Mhm.
you, and I know it probably varies platform to platform,
Yeah.
but is it, duration that people are actually staying on there, how
Yep.
long they're watching, how many views? Like, what are you looking at?
Biggest thing right now for Instagram, shares. Shares is it's important, especially with our clients. And that's when when you're on a trendy video, right? You're gonna get shares because the funniest part is everything gets recycled, which we don't like. Like you see one trend, next thing you know, you seen the freaking kid lately. Like,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
everybody's doing
Yep.
that. Yes, you get views, but it's like, okay, great. Are those qualified views? Are
Yeah.
those qualified people that you even want to see your product?
Dude, so sorry to cut you off,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like, do you avoid those? So let's talk Instagram. Do
Mhm.
you avoid those altogether? And say, and this may come down to strategy,
Yeah, yeah.
but it's like if the strategy is what I just described, like commercial style
Mhm.
content, do you then supplement with some filler content that would be more trendy style
Yep.
content to get reels in or to get views in? Is that
Yeah, I would say it just has to be a right balance.
okay?
Because like you do want those views, right? Because if a million people see it, you're bound to have some people in there that are qualified. But you don't want to only do that trend. You still want to have content that's educational on your platform, or else people are not just going to scroll you and just watch trends. Like they'd rather just scroll their For You page and watch trends. But there's a lot of social media managers now that they just go and do all the trends with their clients, which is great for views and maybe even followers, but mostly views. Most people aren't going to convert to followers from that, but you're still not educating your ideal client. So it's a mix. So we usually say 80-20. It's like
Okay.
20% mess
Okay.
around, have some fun, let's do some trends. 80% should be educational, should be like, why should you work with me? Who is Matt? Who's Luis? Just tell like even personal stories, like educating people, whatever. It should be a lot more educational than entertaining. For Instagram, for YouTube, it's like I think almost flipped, where it's like 80% educational, 20% entertainment.
Okay.
It's that's our theory, and for us, it's worked so far. Especially for our dental client, I like them because they're like a perfect example of like their views plummeted, but their sales like doubled.
Hmm.
It's like that goes to show. It's like because you weren't educating your client, you're entertaining them.
Hmm.
You know.
What do you think for a product-based business?
Mm,
Where have you seen the best channel to be at to get the most qualified leads? Have you
mm.
have you experienced that yet?
I would say it probably depends on the price point of
High ticket.
high ticket, probably YouTube.
Okay.
Probably YouTube.
Yeah.
And you want to go into YouTube and do a long form video about the process of the product and then, make it entertaining too. But like for I'm just thinking about your pool business, it'd be cool to go to an Airbnb and shoot the video there.
Yeah.
Like versus like in the warehouse because people want to see the pretty. Like that's where we're struggling even with Josh's brand because Josh is it's real estate, right? So with his high ticket product of houses, it's not as flashy because he's in the price point for homes. He specializes in houses from 400 to 800,000, which in Vegas is like pretty mid. Versus like all these big creators on YouTube that are in real estate, they're all selling the premium luxury products. And it's just not our niche, but so it gets hard to sell it online. But with you, I think it could be super entertaining because people, oh, container pools, that seems interesting. I know I've for sure watched videos of container pools just because it was just entertaining. It was on my page. So I think it depends on the product, but 100% YouTube for high ticket. Like you have to. Low ticket, I would say like even super low ticket, TikTok. TikTok shops we have one client who they don't have like per se a specific product they manufacture, but they're like a drop shipper. And they'll find little $5 to $10 products and you can set them up on your TikTok page where we can go and create a little video for them and they get freaking tons of sales at $5 to $10 products. Back in the day, we had one guy, this was before I was in the space. I had a friend who was selling fidget spinners. Remember those things?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude, made millions off of fidget spinners on TikTok
Wow.
and Instagram. And Instagram shops kind of failed, but it was supposed to roll out. It just never did very well. But TikTok shops, low ticket. And then Instagram, they have products on there, but we haven't seen anybody do really well there in terms of like
Okay.
selling merch and whatnot. But YouTube for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. There's like so much content that I'm about to get into.
Yeah.
Shows like day in the life content of the guys back in the back, actually my days, but also integrating all my fellas back in the back,
Yeah.
highlighting their stories. I already do like story highlights of the guys, but really showing them in their element, working back there.
Yeah.
More of of that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So not just so much interview, B-roll, but like interview, hey, here he is doing the job. It'll be
Yep.
educational. There'll be a multi-purpose behind that, but it'll be
Yep.
shot as like a reality show. And then I'm gonna more than likely do a few episodes, see what kind of traction that gains, with the goal of getting qualified leads.
Yeah.
The goal isn't necessarily get big followers and all of that. It's just getting
Mhm.
qualified leads, and then the followers would be a precursor to that. Precursor, if that's a
Yeah,
right
yeah.
way to use that. And then do a backyard transformations.
Oh,
So
yeah.
do like full videos. Like we'll
Mhm.
get drone shots of the 18 wheelers going down the mountain.
Yeah,
and
that'd be
like,
cool.
getting to the location, and then we'll do a full backyard
Yeah.
transformation.
The biggest thing with YouTube though is the video can be super great. Just make sure the packaging is correct,
Okay.
which is like title, thumbnail. Like sometimes the greatest video won't do well just because you have one wrong word in the title. You know, like even again, going back to Josh and a couple of our clients, like we've launched a video. It was like reality type show, and we changed one word in the title, and the video's already been out for 3 days. And we're like, it's just not getting the traction. We know it's a good video. What's going on? We changed something in the title. We changed the thumbnail. Boom, the freaking video explodes.
Wow.
So it's not always just make sure your packaging on YouTube. I would say it's 50% of the work.
So, dude, then going off of that, would you recommend doing multiple posts for just about every post and split testing them?
Yes and no, because then you're contaminating your
Okay.
data.
Yeah.
Because if it's the same video packaged differently, YouTube's gonna know, because YouTube's algorithm is transcribing the videos because they have the caption.
I got you.
It's like, hey, he posted this video twice.
Yeah.
You know, and you're packaging it differently. But the cool thing is now YouTube's letting you split test thumbnails, which is cool. So now you can upload 3 thumbnails on YouTube. They haven't rolled out the titles. They say they're going to roll out titles, which we're waiting for. I think that's going to be a game changer. Where right now, though, the thumbnail you're seeing on a Mr. Beast video might be a different thumbnail than somebody else is seeing.
Gotcha. Same video.
Same video, different
thumbnails.
thumbnail.
Okay.
Because they're letting you split test 3 right now. And that's been a game changer for us. Like since we did that, like we saw our views like go up like 40% on certain clients.
Wow.
We started split testing video thumbnails, because the thumbnail is the first thing the client sees, or the viewer sees. They don't even look at the title. They look at the title, they look at the thumbnail, and then title.
What goes into a good thumbnail?
That's hard. Again, that's where I think it's gonna be industry specific.
Is it a bunch of graphics and maybe some small verbiage?
It's emotion. Like
Okay.
if you had to, it was one word, it's emotion. Like you have to spark an emotion. Like you can't just be like everybody. The old thumbnails, it's like pointing at the title, or
Yeah.
like thumbs up. It's like great, but and they used to have a lot of wording and like text on the thumbnail. Now again, like you want to look at these big creators who are entertaining, but how do you make that for, if it's business? Like how do you make it entertaining for business? It's like, it's not words on the thing. It's just driving emotion, whether it's your face, shooting 100 photos with different emotions on your face and putting that. But it's really going to be like, what is the goal of that video? Yeah, but
And using
100%
AI?
spark emotion.
Use AI to generate images, or
Yes
what do
and
you-
no. AI's change is obviously changing every day. We were using AI, but we use AI more for the foundation, and then after that, you got to tweak it. But AI is getting to the point where you can damn near use it on its own, which is kind of scary for, like, I know a lot of guys, graphic designers, who their whole business was, oh, I'm a thumbnail designer.
Yeah.
I was like, well, your job just got took.
Yeah.
Because now you can literally sketch. There's a couple different ones, but you can like sketch an idea of your thumbnail and just be like, hey, here's a photo of me. Here's the background. Here's the idea. Make me a thumbnail. And it like spits out a perfect thumbnail. Mr. Beast just got a lot of backlash actually, because he was promoting some AI thumbnail maker. And obviously his audience is a lot of creators. So his creators are like, and a lot of, he essentially got backlash. Hey, you're hurting the industry. Like you're costing us jobs now. So he had to go in and be like, I think is a fake apology, but you can never know. He essentially went in and apologized. Hey guys, I actually really like working with thumbnail designers. They have more creativity than AI and blah blah. And I'm like, I think that's just his way of covering his ass. But that goes to show that if he was promoting it, there was some belief behind it.
Yeah.
Like, but you have to be careful with promoting AI right now, because when you're at that level, because you can kind of piss off the wrong people.
I got you.
Yeah.
That's what, like for me, thumbnails, you talk about emotion, and some of the ones that like I click on are those that do just that, man. Like I think for me in my product, it's like it's showing like an awesome pool with a house in the background, maybe some kids jumping in or whatever the purpose of that video is. Because I know when I'm watching like Christian content, or if I'm watching like a preacher or something like that that's coming on, he's talking about maybe like the demonic realm or something like that, and he has some images that portray that.
Yep.
Immediately, it sparks an emotion, and then I click on that video. You know, what about titles? Are you like emotion or emojis, like using exclamation points? Like what is
That's where
creates the
you
best
have to
title?
be paying attention to keywords on YouTube, and there's like a couple tools. 1 of 10 is like a software that we use for YouTube analytics, YouTube Buddy. But there's like a lot of where it's like you can nowadays it's kind of becoming irrelevant, but it's still relevant right now. Where now YouTube is transcribing your video, right? And they can the algorithm can go and pull the keywords or whatever. But it used to be that you just have to pick the right keywords. And it's like, for example, that video with Josh, right? The one that I told you we changed a few things and it skyrocketed. The original title was like, day in the life of Las Vegas real estate investor, and then episode 1, blah, blah, blah. All we did was day in the life of a real estate millionaire. That little change skyrocketed the video, same audience, same everything. And it's just like, you have to kind of, that's where you do have to become a little clickbaity, but don't fake it. You still have to be real. Like the millionaire thing is obviously real, but like you have to just go and research the keywords with 1 of 10. You can see the keywords that are keyword, quote unquote trending, which you want to see if those keywords can tie to your video. If they don't use them, because then you're gonna accidentally get somebody who clicks on your video and they only watch it for 5 seconds and then they hop off, and then that hurts your video. So you don't want to lie, but you just want to see what keywords are going to tie best to your video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you hooking at the very beginning within the first minute or so?
100%.
And then, so are you showing the end, like maybe you're representing a restaurant and you're doing a video on this dish. Are you showing the dish and then doing the video?
Yeah. You always want to kind of show tell them why they should stick around to the end, right? Like I think it was like 6 months ago, AI has been a trend topic for the last year, year and a half, like really trending. But one of the things, and we stopped doing this because everybody's doing it now. But when you start a video, it's like, hey, we're going to give you 5 different ways to use AI, blah, blah. Number 5 is the most important, so make sure you stick around for that one. And people would still stick around and you would see the view times get affected. But yes, you want to just tell them what's at the end and why it's worth staying. I wouldn't necessarily show the whole picture at the end, but tell them why they should stay to the end. And the ones that do stay are going to be the ones that are most qualified. Because again, I don't think none of us care about how many views our videos get. We want leads, we want people who are qualified for our product.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the industry has manipulated like the desire of even the consumer, because the consumer doesn't want, the business owner doesn't know what they want.
Yeah.
They all want views and followers and trends. It's like, why?
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly.
It doesn't make any sense. It's like, it's so frustrating because unfortunately we get judged. My business gets judged on like, oh, these are their clients and they're not even getting that many views. I'm like, well, is the goal views?
Seriously,
ask them how their business is.
Yeah, how was it since I started working with you? How have things increased? We're looking at revenue that increased. So I want to pivot just a little bit.
Sorry if sometimes I am answering a question and then I have another thought and my brain goes there. And my brain,
you're in the right place.
Okay.
We rabbit hole trail all the time.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I'm doing right now is like looking at marketing as a whole, from TV, radio, mailers, organic, SEO, website, social media, everything we're talking about. So that's a lot. Pay-per-click. Do y'all do that? Is that something that y'all do, run ads? And
yeah, we do internally for a few clients. Like I said, 80% of our business is content, 20% we're starting to here's my thing with the business. I don't want to scale. And this is, maybe I'm a young guy and I'm still learning. I don't like the idea of scaling vertically in this model because content is hard to keep client. Our average churn is 6 months to a year, right? Because a lot of people don't see the ROI because, oh, well,
wait, say that one more time.
People don't it's hard to convey ROI with content because they don't know that the sales are directly coming from us. But some business owners get it. They're like, well, since we started doing this, the revenue's grown. We can't really track it because we'll have tracking links and whatnot. But a lot of the times nowadays, people are smart. They're going to land on your Instagram. They're going to see your stuff. They like it. They're going to go Google you. They're going to find you another way. But we won't be able to track that client came from us. So it's really hard to track organically content. So I think that the best way to keep these clients long-term is to start scaling horizontally, which is now that we've mastered the content, now we can start running into, I would say for 30 to 40% of our clients were running their ads now, at least Meta ads, not necessarily Google. Google, we're only doing for 2 clients. But again, we're very picky with who we're doing it. We're doing it for a dermatology clinic in Mexico City, and then we're doing it for the dental clinic.
Yeah.
So like, we're very specific on who we're willing to run PPC for, because again, we don't even do PPC for Josh because real estate leads are so expensive. Where it's like, Josh, you have a big enough brand where you don't really need to do PPC. Let's just focus on your branding and let's do PPC, but for Galindo, for your keywords that you own and the branding that you own, not real estate. Because a freaking lead on Google right now for real estate, it's like upwards of $400 to $1,000 per lead.
Yeah.
And you're looking at what, 1 out of 10 leads to close. You're looking at $10,000 to close maybe a $20,000 to $30,000 deal.
Yeah.
That's not the greatest return. It's terrible. It's just a very, so it's industry specific. We'll do it. Yeah.
Dude, I lived that, man. It was costing me $6,000 to acquire a client.
Yeah.
Doing PPC. So it was a little bit over $6,000, but I got away from that because it was just so much and the return wasn't there. Whereas when I had 2 websites and they were both branded with my brands, and both of them, the second website was like number 1 or number 2 on Google because it'd been around for a while. Schema scores were up. It did everything that you wanted to do. Then because of that, my website was branded the same and just increased in SEO because people were seeing that, not knowing if that was legit or not. So they would research my company, land on my website. So it just helped my scores. When I got rid of that side of the things, my personal website is still performing very, very well and sending me very qualified leads. So it's just interesting because I think PPC is, I don't think it'll ever go away, but I'm not as excited about that as I used to be. And it takes forever for me personally. I can go run some ads right now, and then in maybe 4 months, I can start to see somewhat of a return. But again, dude, you're $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 to acquire a client on there, and you're paying a ton per click. So your budget is getting eaten up immediately.
Yeah. And again, but going back to AI, I don't even use Google anymore. Like, you know, Google was like where you go for information. Like, you want to go and Google, find an article. Now my brain goes straight to chat. Like, I go talk to ChatGPT, and here's the scary part, which, you know, OpenAI is starting to test, OpenAI, the company, they're starting to test advertising in chat. So I'm like, okay, that's going to get dirty. And I'm like, you might have to pay for a monthly subscription. I don't know. I pay for the pro, right? But like for the free chat users, they're starting to test advertising. We've already seen people talking about it. So now OpenAI is becoming the Google, right? Because, which is good for people who are still older demographic, is they're still going to Google and searching for a company. But we were looking for a glass company in Vegas, you know, because we're going to do a lot of glass at the new space. I didn't go to Google. I said, hey, and because now chat has this deep research mode. I was like, hey, find me the top 5 companies in the zip code that do glass, blah, blah, and then give me the pros and cons of whatever. You know, you have to prompt it very specifically. And that's how I found the company we're going to work with. So it's like PPC and Google, they're still relevant, but like, I think we're so early into the AI world that we don't even realize that AI is going to be become the new advertising platform.
Yeah.
So the moment that they roll out advertising for fucking AI, excuse me, I cuss a lot. The moment that gets rolled out, I'm already like, we need to be on that. Yeah. Like, if chat is going to start advertising me, great. You know, that that's where you just got to get to where the audience is before the audience is there. And then you're going to, it's all, what is it called? What year was it? It was before I got into business, but like, if you were early to Facebook ads, you were crushing it. Right now, be early to fucking AI advertising, because they're so cheap right now that they have to make their money advertising. That's how all these companies make their money advertising. So I think that what's going to happen is Google PPC is going to get cheaper, but that's because there's going to be less results, because people are going to be using chat and AI, and the AI platforms are going to be advertising. There'll be a little sponsored thing because of legality, so you'll know that it's an advertisement, but you'll still land there.
I'm curious if like SEO will start to be less of a thing.
Yep. And we literally were talking to an SEO guy yesterday. He's our in-house guy. He wasn't no, he did come to one game at Founders. Milos, you probably didn't meet him, but we were like, dude, like SEO is like, yes, it's still relevant, but we see it slowly dwindling away just because of AI. Unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to look at it, I think it's, if you place your business correctly, you'll be fine. Obviously,
I like what I see is, because I agree. Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm hearing that as well. But I think that your SEO is important right now, your Google My Business is super important right now, and the content on social media is super important right now. And then like how you're represented on Bing is super important because that's where, with the deep research, the AI is pulling from. And then like right now, I did the same thing with my company. You know, we were top 3 that was listed, but then I searched different prompt and I wasn't on there. And so I'm like, okay, so you start strategizing on how we can utilize what we currently have, knowing that probably SEO is going to get overlooked here eventually, but it can be a tool that can get us
right now
on AI, you know, and literally on the top results for ChatGPT. And then by the time you're on top results, then everybody starts to figure it out. Then you start playing the new game that's at play, and then kind of leave that old game behind.
100%. That's where it's like, but even Google, like, because we're using AI for like blog writing, you know, writing, and now Google's not like, they're really good at picking up what is AI and what's not. So now it's like, it's so good. Like it's insane because like I would say 6 months ago, AI for blog, we had essentially automated blog posting, hidden backlinks, blah, 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 all the jazz. It's not even working anymore. Now it's like, okay, now we got to go and manually do all of it again because it's just recognizing that it's AI, and now the SEO is not as optimized. Yeah.
Do you recommend, I'm pivoting again. But do you recommend multiple, let's just say you sell a product to, let's take my product as an example. I sell to homeowners, but I also sell to, like I sell to niche demographics. So like short-term rental people and homeowners. Let's just talk about those two. Would you have 2 websites, one geared, well, both branded towards you, one geared towards each of those audiences with funnels? Obviously, you're going to funnel them through. That is going to ultimately, well, they're not going to funnel through to the main website. They're going to stay on that website, but all the information will be geared towards them, or having one website, drop downs, different pages for your different demographics.
See, that's funny because I'm having that battle with myself right now with the new space, because we think, it's almost like a new business, because with our new space, it's going to be like studio rental, you know, like renting studios like this. So we're like, shit, like, are people going to get confused because we're targeting right now as a marketing agency, we're targeting businesses and trying to film remotely and this and that. But with our new offer, or side by side offer, we're going to have this new offer. So we're like, do we do Galindo Studios and Galindo Media, 2 different websites? Or do we do Galindo Media with a drop down that's podcast production and this and that? So truthfully, I don't know the answer to that, but I think from what my gut's been telling me, I think you keep one because at the end of the day, if you're driving the traffic to the website, you can tell them to land on the landing page that's for them. But that's where my gut's telling me, especially with because I'm dealing with the same dilemma right now, where our offer is about to be kind of, I keep using the word contaminated. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's a different offer. It's like it's essentially like a side. It's like I said, we're scaling horizontally, and now we're starting to have different audiences, and I don't want to confuse our original audience. So it's hard. But my gut is telling me, and this is what Josh told me too with his brands, keep it one powerful brand.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's really good to know. I am, because I'm kind of on the fence on it, you know, and I know, like, the way that I probably will go about it is, because we have different businesses and different kind of products, and I'm gonna more than likely try 2 to 3 different websites. I'll let you know the data. We'll see how that works. Because I'm gonna have one geared towards short-term rentals, one geared towards homeowners, and I may even have one geared towards contractors. That's still something that
But are they gonna be the same brand and different websites, or completely different branding?
So I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay.
So I think it's going to be the same, like it'll be underneath my umbrella, contain your pools, but I don't know if it will be, that's still up in the air, right? So will I go in and do maybe like short-term rental and rename that, and obviously have a whole brand around that? Or will it be the same brand? I don't know yet. I don't know yet.
Because that's where, again, SEO gets into play, right? And then that's where it's like, I don't want to okay, my brain's going. We were thinking about doing a rename for Galindo Media, and we still are thinking about it. But, you know, with SEO, a lot of these other marketing agencies in Vegas are like, oh, Las Vegas Studios, Las Vegas marketing agency, because SEO, it helps. But we're like, okay, are we going to lean more into the brand? Because I was like, because, you know, when you're talking about putting together a different websites, I would try it out. STR pools, whatever. And then one that's like not geared towards them, and then see if the SEO helps. Because we think it does, but we think it's also temporary. So we're like, I think it would benefit us in the short term, not the long term.
I got you.
So I think we're going to be, which is the first time I'm saying this on camera, Josh wants to honor my name on the company. So I think we're gonna just try it. We essentially have 2 iterations that we're gonna do. We're gonna just do Galindo Barraza, which is GB Media, because then it kind of takes away from Galindo, because I think Galindo's name has done everything it can to get us to this point. Now it's like, can we sink or swim on our own? Because I don't want to keep piggybacking off of his brand. It's not dishonoring him. It's just now we're together. Because it's truthfully, I get treated a lot as like a high level employee versus the owner, because it's Josh's name on the company, which I've never had an ego play with it. Josh is like, look, man, we're going to be doing this new space. Let's try this. If it doesn't work, we want to go completely away from our names and go and do what you just said, and try a generic name that's like a marketing agency, whatever, like something that has nothing to do with our names. But we're going to try it in iterations, not at the same time. Yeah.
Okay. Stuff's fascinating, man.
Yeah.
Like I love it because it's like a lot of it is we go off of what we know has worked in the past for others. We apply it to ourselves. We look at the data and then we make it work for ourselves, and everything is changing. So we're always having to go to the next level. It's such an integral part of any business, you know, like mine. Like it's not my business, but it is my business.
Yeah.
It's a huge part of my business. And
100%.
without it, this thing doesn't do what it does.
Yeah.
So what about, I want to go down to like ad copy and all of that. And then we'll start to wrap up.
Yeah.
So do you have ad copywriters? I know you mentioned a second ago about using ChatGPT for some of that stuff. What's your approach?
Yeah, I mean, so I'm not the expert here, but I'll explain it from the way I understand it, because I'd have to have my guy answer that question for you. But we do have a copywriter. She actually was working for Ryan Pineda before.
Yeah.
You know who Pineda is?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and she was working for Grant Cardone before she was working for Ryan Pineda. So she's helping us with our ad copy freelance. So she's not in-house. She essentially freelances. So we'll give her our ideas with chat. So I'm like, hey, this is what we came up with ChatGPT. Like, can you tell me what would not be good here? And then she'll essentially go and fix it for us and then do it that way. Truthfully, I don't think we have enough of a need to have her fully in-house yet. And she's so good that now everybody's trying to like scoop her, where like she was working full-time for Pineda and Cardone before that, where I think she's seeing that she has leverage now, because when you're good at copy, and again, we don't know how long copy is going to be important for with AI, but right now it's still relevant. So she's essentially like proofreading our copy that we are generating with AI. And then she's going in and fixing it that way. And then Milos will handle he'll ideate with chat and our in-house team, get her in for a new client or a meeting, and then go that way. Okay. That's what we're doing now.
Okay. So so you know how I use my business, you know, for, you know, hiring the guys that are in prison and on the streets, you name it. So how important, when you talk about brand, I guess this is a very broad question, but is that the brand, or is that a piece of the brand? What makes up a brand? And then how do you tell that story?
Yeah.
How do you approach that?
I remember we talked about that at Founders League, because I remember like, why are you talking about that online? And you said you are slightly, but in my head, I feel like that's how you lead the vision. I think that'd be, from an outside perspective, I thought it was cool as hell. Like I was very like, what? Like that's so cool. And slight side tangent, I took a little bit of which it backfired, but I took a little bit of that, like, I want to help somebody. So we actually had, this is a side story and we'll go back to that. I took in this guy and I gave him a place to live, condo, like one of my condos that was sitting empty, hooked him up. He kept making the wrong decision. Long story short, I had to fire him, and now he's still living in my condo. But so maybe this is a question that I want to spin back on you, is like, how do you know when somebody's actually going to change? Because I feel like I tried to help somebody and it bit me in the ass and it hurt the business and blah, blah. But to kind of answer your question, I would say I would want to lead with that. Like, have testimonials of the guys. This is working at container pools has changed my life. Boom. Like, that's the hook. Why? What the hell? Working at a pool company changed your life? What do you mean? They do this and that. Oh, that's cool. And then people who align with your values are probably, even if they weren't going to buy a pool, they might want to buy a pool, you know, whatever, just to support the vision or whatever. But I think lead with that, because it's just a cool story.
Dude, I'm with you. Like that was kind of an addition to the approach this year, was to start to highlight their stories. And it's about to shift another time, because I want to highlight their stories from a different angle. So much sitting down, talking, that'll still be incorporated into it, but it'll be a little bit different approach. But I think, you know, for me, it's like, it's when you go to my website now, there's very little about pools, you know? And I did that intentionally. And now I'm about to have my website completely redone again. There's going to be more about pools. I'm going to take them on their journey, all still while this is like top of mind, you know, with how I do business. Because what I noticed when I was, before I had, well, at the very beginning, whenever I got here, whenever I bought this business, I was doing all the sales and doing everything. Now my wife will handle the bulk of the sales, and I'll come in and kind of close them, and we'll piggyback. What I noticed is when I tell the story with somebody on the phone, but the conversion rates go way up, because if I can sit here on the phone and tell you everything on a discovery call that you need to know, and then I can say, hey, are you cool with me telling you about like who you're buying from? Just give me 45 seconds. Then I tell them, and then that helps them know, like, and trust me just a little bit more.
So how helpful would it be if they knew the story before they got here?
Dude, amen. Seriously.
That's where it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, that's it. It's like, how do you tell the story before they get here?
Yeah.
And they're already pre-qualified before they walk in the door, and your closings go, your conversion rate just skyrockets.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's hard to tell the story though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's like a whole, because there's so many angles you can take from it. It's like, well, what's your budget, number one? Because you can get crazy with it, but if you don't have a budget, or the budget's very minimal, then you kind of work with what you got. But yeah, like, dude, and to answer your question, like one of the things that I do up here is like how is, so with the guys that I hire, I have to have military style structure. First off, is how I live my life. Then I have to, so I emulate, or I implement that here. Then I have to have programs in place for them to run through that help me monitor their growth. So what that means is when you come on, whenever I hire somebody that comes on, let's just say I have a ministry where we go to University in Twain every Tuesday, partnered with World Vision, like we go out and preach the gospel, pass out food, do all that kind of stuff. And sometimes I meet people that look for jobs, and I've hired a guy that I actually met out doing that kind of stuff. So what I learned in that is I didn't have a training program for them to run through. So when he came on, he was doing the jobs, doing some of the stuff, but he was doing less and less and less and less. And then he stopped aligning with certain things we were doing here, bringing drugs into the workplace, all of that. So obviously that's an immediate, got to let you go. But I don't just let them go. I look for help for them. If they want help, I will help you find help. And if you're looking to get help, I promise you, I do this all the time with my guys. Like I'll get them into a rehab or something like that. So to sum that up, I bring in guys, no matter who they are, where they come from, worst of the worst, dirtiest of the dirtiest, they can come in, they'll run through the training program. As long as they meet the requirements laid out in the training program, then I will invest in them more. So during the training program, I invest in their hourly or salary, which them is hourly pay. And that's it. And then at the end of that 75-day period, the training period, assuming they align and all of that, I then will technically really hire them. They'll come on. I will invest welding, carts, uniforms, everything into them. Then they start this journey of a 6-month journey where if they go through this 6-month journey well, they will then be invited to a Dream Chaser accountability program. That's a 9-month program that walks alongside them to help them accomplish their goals. So it's what are your personal, professional, and financial goals? And let's figure out those for 1, 3, 5, and 7 years. And then let me tell you how you're going to accomplish all of these things. And so I walk them through that for months, and then you get to see them. So you constantly set things up. It's like you measure the things that you expect. I line out my expectations. If they're not meeting those, then they already know at the very beginning that we have to move ways. So it's about how you start out, what programs do you have in place, how are you measuring it, and then if they're not aligning with that, then it's time to move.
What percentage of that first, before you invest in them outside of an hourly wage, fall out?
I would say out of my latest hires, 2 of the 6. So 2 of the 6 fell out. They had the skills. They were far more skilled than actually the majority of guys back there, but we didn't align on a number of values that were at place. So like for me to decrease that, it's because I have like a high retention. My guys don't turn over. Like when I get guys and they run through these things, dude, they love being here and they stay on. I'm blessed for that. But what I've learned is how I hire. So I go through certain things. So like literally, if I'm hiring you and we're across and I start singing and you get annoyed by that, or not. Dude, I'll sing happy birthday, and like see how you respond, dude. And if you don't respond well, like I responded right there, I'm like, all right, we're gonna line.
How would they see? I can't even like comprehend, like, how else would
Yeah.
somebody respond? Like, what the hell is this guy
Exactly.
doing?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
like, who is this guy? But if
Yeah.
they're offended by it, they don't really say anything, or they're kind of
Yeah.
standoffish, I'm like, okay, we're gonna have a hard time
Yeah.
connecting. So
That's because I guess I completely did it wrong. You know, you mean well, but I took this guy in. He didn't have anything, and I was like, all right, let's go buy you clothes. Let's go buy you this. He told me he was having baby mama issues, and I'm like, look, I'm gonna hook you up. I'm gonna set you up in this condo, this and that. Kind of just gave him an inch, and he took a mile type thing, and bit me in the butt. Long story short, you know, I had to fire him. But I just felt like I didn't have the structure. I just kept giving him versus like making him earn it, I guess. And yeah, I just bit me in the butt. And I'm like, but I feel like he genuinely was a good guy. He just kept making the wrong decisions, and I think it's because I lacked an actual structure. I was just trying to help somebody versus like giving him the opportunity to help themselves.
dude, that's such a big thing because guys
Yeah.
like you got a massive heart,
Mhm.
and then without that structure, same thing for me, dude, massive heart to help these guys,
Mhm.
but without that structure. So like the way that I tie that is a lot of people. So there's a true study
Mhm.
that was done on kids and on playground. And so they had a fence set up around the playground, and those kids who they were running, playing in the playground, putting their hands to the fence, all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Literally the next day, they took the fence down. Those kids didn't leave the middle of that playground. They stayed huddled up in the middle of the playground. So what that showed me
Yeah.
was boundaries provide the freedom. So I'll tie this to scripture because most people are like, dude, I have to live within these laws. Dude, this is where freedom lies right
Yeah.
now. Whenever you live within the rules and the laws that are laid out in scripture. So it's the same thing in life. So that's the approach that I take with my guys back there is, yeah, dude, I want to help everybody. I can't help everybody.
Mhm.
So, but those that I can help, if you run through this program well, then you're going to be with me in 10 to 15 years.
Mhm.
And not only that, there's a good chance that you'll be a part owner because a big goal of mine is to create at least 5 millionaires whenever I exit for 100 million plus.
Yeah.
That's a big goal of mine. So it's like I plan on giving up percentages of my business to my top people and the guys that helped me get to that point.
Yeah.
And that goes for everybody. I don't care if you came off the streets and you were hired and you were doing grunt work at first, and all of a sudden you elevate and now you're leading the shop and doing different things like that. But you have an opportunity to come on as an equity partner, as maybe a part owner, or maybe you get a percentage of the sale. Because what that does is that's going to align our values. And now you're going to move at the same pace that I am. And as quickly as I can get other people moving at our pace, whenever we're owners of the business and operating it, the better.
That's so funny because like sometimes founders get so irritated. I just feel like I feel like he's just not working as hard as me. Of course he's not. He doesn't own the thing.
Seriously.
Like, you got to give him a piece of the pie. So it's like, you know, me and Josh are, you know, we're obviously equity partners. We started this thing, and then we recently brought on Mladen, my COO, as an equity partner. We gave him a percentage, and it's like you can just night and day. They start treating it like it's their own. So it's like you're going to get more out of them, and then that's going to grow the business, which makes your exit bigger. It's like, but a lot of founders are so greedy with that equity, even though it's not worth anything right now. And then it's like, well, have you ever heard the analogy? It's like, would you ever rather have a grape or a slice of a watermelon?
Yeah.
You know, it's the same thing. It's like, dude, it's you make other people bigger, you're going to be bigger.
Seriously.
Yeah. But I've learned that recently where I was like, I don't want to give up percentage.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, well, I guess he's going to work harder if he did. And 100% night and day.
Dude,
it's been,
we're like on the same page of that because as quick as, because like I had to battle that too, because I'm like, dude, this is my company and I'm the one that blah, 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 blah. You know, you start going through all those thoughts and the pride, the ego that comes with all that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, but the goal is to get to this point at this time here. So what's the fastest way that I can get there? And I know for me, it's surrounding myself with smarter people than me. For me, it's giving up a percentage equities, percentage of the sale to certain people, bringing on hiring from top down instead of from bottom up. Now you have to hire bottom up, you know, at times to get work done, but hiring from top down, making sure that those you're hiring from top down are aligning and are the experts and make you feel dumb whenever you're around their presence because you're going to them. Hey, it's kind of like the way you answered me earlier. I got to go to my guy. Dude, I love that answer because a lot of business owners won't have the gall to say that because they want to know everything.
100%.
When somebody like me, I see right through that and I'm like, dude, I know you don't know that. Why don't you just say you don't know that, but this person does? You know, I think of like Henry Ford. Dude, I don't know if you know this or not, but Henry Ford was being sued and he was going through a lawsuit. This is like way back in the day. And they were suing him. I'm going to butcher the story a little bit, but for being dumb. Literally, they sued the guy for being dumb. So as he was going through this whole thing, he was sitting in court and they were asking him dumb questions to get his response. And they asked him a question that had nothing to do with while they were in the middle of the lawsuit, that had to do with soldiers going to battle. And they were like, do you know how many, I don't remember the exact question, but you know how many people got killed in battle, you know? And he's like, Well, I don't know the exact data to answer that question, but I have heard and I do know that less people came home than went. And so they continue to press him, which is like a good response. They continue to press him. And he said, listen, I'm not going to continue to answer these questions because when I am at my facility and you ask me a question that I don't know, I press this button here and I get Jim in, and Jim knows the answer to that. So it's not about me knowing all the answers, it's me having the people on my bus that know all the answers.
Yeah.
So he like shut the room down at that point. That right there, dude, expanded my mind.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, dude, yeah, well, let's go to Donovan. Let's ask him.
Yeah.
Let's go to Taylor. Let's ask him.
Well, the funny part is I never heard that story, which it's cool, but that was my whole premise with why I wanted to start this company. I was like, I have no idea about any of this. Like, I just need to be a good builder and everything will happen. Like, again, some of the questions that you asked, I'm giving you my POV, but like, if I had my guys in here answering them, they'd be completely different answers.
Yeah.
So I might be wrong, but it's like, and it truthfully bites me in the butt sometimes. Because of who I am, I'll go network and I'll say this and that. The company or the client sits down with my guy and they're like, "What the hell did you tell him?" So it's good and bad. So I think I have to obviously understand it to a basic level, but I'm definitely not the product expert. Like, and the joke I always tell is like, I barely know how to turn on the camera, guys. Like, I'm not the guy to answer that question. I have to redirect a lot of it to my guys, but I did that at the beginning intentionally. And again, it's pros and cons. I didn't want to be in the business. I was like, because at the warehouse, when shit got ugly, the only people that suffered was my family, because I had to roll up my sleeves and do the dirty work, which meant I was working 12 to 16-hour days.
Yeah.
And now I can't do that. At 5 o'clock, my guys leave, and I'm like, I have to be a lot better about building the right team, because now my family gets to have me home at 5:30. And since that, it has been that. Yeah, there's days where we got to put in longer hours, but in like the grand scheme of things, like, even though now that I'm not the product expert, I'm in a better position to lead.
Dude,
so yeah.
I think one of the biggest lessons that I've learned in the last 3 years, because I just moved here 3 years ago too. Huh?
Oh,
You know that?
Yeah.
Houston.
I
But
came from Texas. I left from El Paso. That was my last station.
drove through El Paso coming up here, ate
Yeah.
that Whataburger like right on the border there.
Yeah.
You know?
That's funny.
And then came up, went through Alpine, Arizona, like went through, stayed in the beautiful cat. It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was awesome driving.
That's
I'd
funny.
never been to El Paso.
Yeah. Everybody tells me it's not really Texas. It's like pretty much New Mexico.
Yeah.
We're even on a different time zone.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah. El Paso's like the only little piece of Texas that's on the Central or Mountain Time. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah.
That stuff's so confusing.
Yeah.
It's just to manipulate and control. Crazy. All right. So let's we'll wrap up.
Cool.
One more, dude. I've got a lot of stuff because we started to really get into it.
Yeah.
We'll have to do this again.
When we get our new space open, like, come in, because my goal is to start shooting my pod again. So you could come check out the space and we'll shoot a pod over there.
Love to, man.
Good. Yeah,
Love to. What is, so 2 questions. What are you a reader? Listener
for sure. Not so much a reader. I was a reader, but then I discovered audiobooks.
Yeah.
I freaking love audiobooks, but yeah.
What one book that specifically geared towards marketing and branding that most people don't know? Anything come to mind?
The Brand Story.
The Brand Story?
You're
talking about with what's his name?
I don't even remember, but it was a recent listen, but let me look it up. It's The Brand Story, I believe. But there's a Story Brand.
Is it Donald Miller?
Is it that one? Yeah. Building a Story Brand.
Building a Story Brand?
Yeah, Building a Story by Donald Miller. And there's a great podcast on or not even a podcast. Caleb Ralston. Do you know who he is?
No.
So he has like a 6-7 hour YouTube video about branding. Greatest freaking thing I've ever.
You posted about that.
Yeah.
On your story. I saw.
Yeah.
So I that's the only way I know.
Yeah, Caleb Ralston. He's worked with like Gary Vee, Hermosis, like he was their brand director. My videographer right now, again, I try to bring in the best talent, was a videographer for Alex Hermosi, and he was leaving for personal reasons. He came and worked for me, so he's introduced me to all these great network of guys. That video, I would say, is more valuable in terms of like real online branding than any freaking book or podcast that I've listened to.
Okay.
That's
good to know, dude.
It's I'm actually going to have, with the new space, Caleb is going to come help us build it out, which I'm really excited about. I build a relationship with him. He lives in Vegas. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome, man. Last question is, I don't know if you tie this to God or what, but what is God teaching you, or what are you learning right now? What's a lesson that you've had to learn? Like, vulnerable. Be vulnerable is where I'm getting at.
So what's a lesson that God is teaching me right now, I guess, is the question.
Yeah.
That's hard, but I will say that it, like, and I don't know if it was God or because I've heard it from a person too, is like, it gets better.
Hmm.
Just like stay in the game. And really, I think it's just having the tenacity and grit to be a leader. It's not easy to be a leader, and everybody always glorifies it. Everybody always like, oh, that's the boss, must be nice. It's like, dude, I have so much more on my shoulders than you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, people don't get it. And I think like just knowing that there is like a light at the end of the tunnel as long as you stay the lane. Be a good person and just keep walking. Yeah,
Love
step
it, man.
one foot after another. I feel like there's been a lot of times where I derail a little bit, like even like my body, right? Like I was focused on the business, but stopped taking care of myself. It's like just keep walking the line, just one foot in front of the other, and it'll all get better. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, man. God, like for me, man, it's that like full trust in God.
Mhm.
And because I don't know if you know this, but like God speaks and he still speaks to this day. And like he'll speak to you, he'll speak through other people to you. He does this with me all the time. And it's learning what his voice sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you start to understand what God's voice sound like, dude, he will take you to levels that you can't even imagine. And then he reveals the truth of his son, Jesus. He reveals the truth of the gospel. He reveals all of that. So
Do you feel like, because you said learn to trust God? I like when you finally learn to trust God, your stress like doesn't disappear, but it just like dwindles. Because I will say I feel like I carry a lot of stress because I never know what's going to happen. I always feel like every day is a fire. So it's like, and me and Josh have talked about this in the past. Where it's like you just got to know that it's gonna work out, and you got to just trust We say the universe a lot. We don't say God. I'm not super religious. I grew up Catholic and whatnot. But so we always say the universe, and maybe that's our way of speaking to God. But we always say like the universe is gonna figure it out. Like we're gonna keep, you know, it's all gonna work out. Like we're good people, and that's the first root of everything is just be a good person, we think. But yeah, I always feel like it's hard for me to trust the universe because I've been burned in the past. But I'm learning to trust the universe because the last 2-3 years have really like since I've started taking care of myself and other people has just like exploded from just learning, being around the right people, like seeing like kind of like all the dots connect and like really the foundation's been laid now. I can see it all happening because I just started trusting the universe. So I don't know if that's kind of in alignment with what you asked, but yeah.
dude, totally. Yeah, no, man. So God, he does things like, have you ever heard the story of the parting of the Red Sea? Does that even ring a bell?
Slightly rings a bell, but you know.
So there was the Israelites were under the rule of King Pharaoh, and I'll be very generic with this. God called Moses to free those people from underneath King Pharaoh. And so he caused Moses to go in and get his people from the city. You know, the cities back in the day had like big walls around them and all this.
Yeah.
So he called him to go in, get the people out. So he got his people out, and they ended up in the wilderness for like 40 years. This is like literal truth. And what God did during those moments was while they were fleeing, because King Pharaoh had all of his men go flee or pursue them and chase after them, is God led them to the place where they couldn't escape anymore. He led them to the Red Sea while they were trailing behind him. And they're like, we can't go anywhere now. Now we're just waiting for them to come murder us. And then all of a sudden the seas opened up and then they were able to run through it. And then the seas came crashing down on their enemies. This is what God does is when we learn to trust God, he's going to lead you into a place where there's no out, where you're like, I got no clue. I have no clue but to trust God.
See, that's
and then what happens is God opens that Red Sea. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God.
So good. That's a good story because again, I feel like I keep referencing this new space. In my head, I feel like that's the true beginning of this new life and venture and business journey. Cause like I have no idea. When we get into there, I just know that we're gonna figure it out once we get there. I don't know how. I just know that the business might pivot. And one of the stories that I like is like BlackBerry. Remember BlackBerry phones?
Oh yeah.
Like they are no longer a cell phone company, but they're still $1 billion company doing software tech. So it's like, we might end up doing something completely different. All I know is we got to get into this new space. That's where this thing starts. We have the foundation. We're going to figure it out. I don't know how or what or why, but all I know is I have the grit and tenacity, and that's where I do have an ego. And I'm like, I'm going to figure it out. So it's just funny. I like that story. It's a good one.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. There's so much I can get into, man.
That was good.
So I wrote this.
Okay.
I do this for not all my guests, but for the majority of my guests. I didn't know. So I really felt like God was So God leads me to write different things for different people.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it can be prophetic things like, hey, here's something that God revealed to me about you and what I can see coming down the line for you. It's all encouragement. It's never anything. God's never going to be like, you're destroyed. Like he's always, the Holy Spirit, the way he speaks is like, no, like this may happen, but you're going to come out on top because this was a prayer. That was it. So I felt like God was leading me so I wrote a prayer out, and it has your family in there as well. I just felt like it was what God wanted me to pray. So just read this later.
Okay.
I won't read it now. But and then we always end this with prayer. Okay. So if you're cool with that.
Yeah, of course.
Dude, I'll close us out with prayer.
Perfect.
And then we'll get out of here.
Cool.
Dear Heavenly Father, God, we thank you so much for waking us up this morning, God. And Lord, we thank you for this conversation. God, we pray that you go before this conversation and Lord, help it make an impact, help people expand and grow their businesses. And Lord, help some of these stories that we're sharing deepen their faith if they have a relationship with you. And if they don't, God, help it lead them to a relationship with you, God, because it's in that relationship that we have freedom and freedom from self. And that's the only place that we can achieve freedom. We can receive a bunch of money and have a perceived freedom and some level of a freedom, but we still have to break free from ourself, which only you provide, God. So I pray that message penetrates through this lens and into the depths of the listeners and watchers' soul. And Lord, I want to speak over Luis's life, his family, his business. God, we just pray blessing, supernatural growth over them. We pray for health for his new baby coming. Lord, for his wife, Lord, for their relationship to just continue to get stronger, for his sons to grow up and be men that are examples of what it's like to be a man because they have a dad that is showing them what it's like to be a man. God, I'm grateful to know Luis. I thank you that you made this connection. We love you. Amen.
Thank you, brother. That was awesome.
Love this, man.
Yeah, it was good.
That was awesome.